get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want.
Hey guys, Coach Dan here. I'm a exercise and science degree holder. I'm a personal trainer and coach of 10 plus years. I've been training in gyms for over 20 years. Father, husband, all that stuff. And today I'm going to take you through my pull workout, back, biceps, rear delts, pull workout overall. And this is week 9 of a fat loss phase for me. After this week, I'm going on a vacation. So I've been doing a fat loss phase to kind of offload some fat before I potentially put some on whilst away, and then open up some room for a muscle gain phase coming up. So I'm going to take you through my pull workout today, which is designed with that in mind, keeping in mind that we're in a fat loss phase. Fat loss phases potentially aren't the best for building a whole stack of muscle, but a really good goal to have is retaining as much of that muscle, maybe building a little bit depending on your experience level, and then to come out the back end of that, a leaner person with the same amount of muscle ready to upgrade again. So it's almost like we're upgrading each time we do it. We go through a bulk or a muscle gain phase. A little bit of fat comes along there with it. Then we take that fat away, keep as much of the muscle. Then we kind of upgrade and repeat that process over again until the day we die. All right, enough chit chat. Let's go through the workout. So this workout is pretty close to business as usual. We're starting off this one with a big upper back movement, the chest supported T-bar row. Have been really loving getting back into that one, should I say. So really stoked with that, really feeling good progression, really find it quite enjoyable and fun to do. So that's always a good thing. Then we've got the Meadows Row, which again, another upper back movement, or at least I make it somewhat upper back-y by standing upright. And that's the row that comes from the Landmine. Then we have probably one of the most unique looking exercises that I do. It's called I've called it the lean forward neutral grip chest supported row. So where we lean forward on the bench to kind of focus on a different part of the upper back than when we were doing the T-bar row. So it's just changing the angle a little bit, hopefully working some different parts of our back, and lower traps is the idea. We use that same machine and we do a crossbody single arm plate loaded row or offset plate loaded row. Again, that's feeling really good, where we offset to the side, line up such that the machine works for us. We don't have to work to the machine and get the upper lats working there. Then narrow neutral grip pull down, nothing to it, like that classic, trying to get as strong as that as possible. That's really fun, that one. Bit of lat isolation, or as close to lat isolation as we can get, with the incline lying lat prayer. So lying on the bench, rolling that up to the cable machine and doing a lat prayer variation to keep the form pretty tight. Then we go, I've been doing a machine curl, but I don't love that machine very much. Doesn't allow the range of motion that I'm after. So I might do a elbow supported incline dumbbell curl, or a curl variation, which I'll show a clip of here, that I decide once I'm out there. And then we finish off that with the rear delt cable fly. So a nice horizontal rear delt exercise. And that will be the pull workout for today. Spirits are high this week. I don't know if it's because it's the last week of the fat loss phase, but I'm feeling good. Progress is there. I know I'm up early in the morning. Got up at 4 this morning to go for a big solid walk to get a good chunk of my steps out, because I just can't get them out during the day. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe we're seeing everything through a good lens at the moment because we are at the end. So all right, nothing to it but to do it. Let's head out. Let's smash out these chest-supported T-bar rows. I have a good feeling about this workout. We're going to give it some, and we're going to be happy with our efforts at the end. Let's go to the row. All right, big, bad T-bar chest-supported row, chest-supported T-bar row. So this is one of my favorites for upper back training. Now, I use this slightly differently than most people. So this machine has these pedals here, which they intend for you to put your feet on. But anytime I've done that, it's kind of really dug my chest in that, very uncomfortable. But I do want to line it up such that we are essentially kind of pretty high up on the chest, because what I want this for, like if I had to categorize this for muscle group, one in particular is going to be traps. And if you think about what the job I'm trying to train of the traps here is shoulder blade or scapular retraction, so the squeezing of the shoulder blades. So to kind of stretch or do the opposing part of that movement, I want protraction. So I want to use this pad for protraction and let me sort of protract around it so I can kind of stretch my upper back out around it. Now, if I was up a bit taller, you'll see that my spine will flex over the top. and we'll get a lot of spinal flexion and extension. Nothing wrong with that, but for me, I want it to be more about, the traps. So I'm going to line this up pretty high, take the handle over, let the shoulder blades roll forward, pull and squeeze. So far this one's been going well. I'll do a heavy set or a top set with a higher weight, and then I'll back it off for a lighter set for more reps. All right, let's get it underway. Okay, next back exercise, the Meadows Row. So the Meadows Row is a single arm row variation coming from the landmine here. So you take this bar, put it into a landmine, and we're going to do a row. Now we want to make this row mostly about our upper back, so you'll see that we position ourselves such that it's kind of going up and the arm is coming away from your body. But you could kind of manipulate this to kind of what you want to work. You could have it narrower to your body to make it more latty. You could have it, leaning over further to challenge a different part of your upper back. For me, I've got this exercise to sort of come up, almost like a shrugging motion. T-bar row, which I've just completed, kind of goes like this, horizontally. I do a lean forward row after this, which kind of goes down, and this one's about going up. So what I'll do, so you're holding onto the collar of the bar, and that's a potential downside if you don't have grips, but these grips for me are a savior in that regard. So we've got this stance over the top, row, straighten out, row, straighten out. So good from the perspective of resistance as well, because this is in a hinge, it kind of changes resistance. It almost gets easier as it goes, not significantly so, but kind of different from a dumbbell, which is going down directly against gravity. This being on a hinge does adjust slightly, which does suit the upper or the back muscles in general. You'll know, like, if you do bent over rows or rows, usually not failing out here, usually failing to finish. So if it kind of gets lighter as it goes, it kind of accommodates that resistance for you. All right, let's get some weight plates on there and get going. All right, next up we have our lean forward chest supported row. So the lean forward chest supported row, the concept is that if I lean or orientate my body a little bit differently, I'm going to work a different part of our upper back. So for today, so far we've gone T-bar row, which kind of comes in this direction. We've gone Meadows row, which kind of comes up, almost like a shrugging movement. So that's trap dominant as well. Now we're going to lean forward onto this pad, and then we're going to continue to row. This is sort of comes horizontally, this plate loaded machine. But because I'm moving myself forward, the idea is that it will work the lower part of my traps. That's the idea. You could do this on a seated row, like a cable seated row. I like this. I like the chest pad to be able to kind of roll yourself over the chest pad. I also like the resistance of some of these plate loaded machines because they get, if done correctly, they can kind of match your strength as far as back movements goes, because in back movements we're pretty strong out here but weaker in here. So if we put this on a hinge, it gets easier as this weight kind of gets above this hinge. So this will essentially get easier as it goes, not, you know, like no resistance, it just gets easier such that if it's on the top of this, like it won't even go down. So with that in mind, I like this. Seated row would be a good variation. You might consider doing like partials with the seated row, because you won't be able to finish the movement far before you can still do like half reps. Anyway, with all that said, here's how we roll, right? So we reach over, we strap in. I've already set the seat height over the course of a couple of weeks figuring it out. We come back, we shuffle our ass and like crutch to the back of the seat. It's almost like this Superman position. Maybe that's what I'll call it, because it's a bit of a mouthful. Let the shoulder blades roll forward over the pad. Pull and squeeze them down. Roll forward, pull and squeeze. So I've just moved myself. The resistance is always going to come the same, but me moving myself, hopefully it's working a different part of the back than without. That's the idea. Whether that is truth or not, hard to know, but I like it feels effective. So doing this alongside T-bar row, I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to do the different exercise selection just in case. Like potentially, could I have just done more sets of the T-bar row? Yeah, potentially, but I'm inclined to tick it off, and this was a new one that I kind of sort of created to tick that box. All right, let's build it up. We've got some weight to add, then we're on. Okay, that caps off the upper back work, or the upper back biased work, should I say. So still on back, but now we shift to things that are more lat dominant. So this is, I don't know if you call this, I call it offset single arm plate loaded row. So this is same machine. We've got two arms. The issue with this particular machine for training the lats is this, it diverges, so it goes away. So if you're looking at me front on, it'll go like that. Now the lat is probably more suited to training or to doing the movement if it stays close to the body, because it sort of attaches to the front of your arm and then wraps underneath and heads in towards your spine. So if you think about it like that, and we're in this kind of position or this kind of position, it's going to want to pull your arm back and in. Now if we're doing this row conventionally, arms going away from the side, it's not that the lat won't work, it's that the upper back will be able to start to contribute more and more as you start to get away, because the whole shoulder and what's lined up to train the movement is better in that position. So same plate loaded machine, we kind of offset to the side that we're working, we grab a handle, we line it up such that by the time we finish, the handle is nice and close to the body. A potential added benefit is that this also is kind of going in that way on the way back in, which might help to stretch the lat around the rib cage, which has been theorized to be a thing. So kind of angles in like this, then we finish nice and close, trying to train that upper lat as much as possible. All right, gotta let my heart rate come down, train a couple of build up the weight, and then go for it. So yeah, this is more designed in this program to kind of train the upper lats. So when movements sort of come like this, there's a portion of the lats that kind of heads in towards the thoracic spine, and then some of it heads down. This movement is going to be intended for the muscles that are heading in, or the fibers that are heading towards the thoracic spine, and then we've got the pull down later to focus on those lower ones. All right, let's go. Yes. All right, next up we're going neutral, narrow neutral grip pull down. So neutral grip being palms facing towards one another. So just as suggested with that row variation, when the arm stays close to the body, we're probably more inclined to bicep more towards the lats because they pull your arm around, in and down. So if we want to make it more lat dominant, arm close. If we want to make it more upper back and some other things, arm comes away. So I'm going narrow neutral, but you could go a little bit wider neutral, you could go reverse, you could go overhand, but if we want to make it about the lats, we're probably best suited to keep it somewhat close to the body. And everyone's body width is the same. I've been working this one feels effective for me. And then when we do this movement, you want to think about pulling down as if you are trying to pull your arm down into that back pocket. So I'll strap in with the wrist wraps, make sure we tuck ourselves under these pads and get in nice and tight, line up with the resistance where it's consistent for you, pull. Stretch, pull. And that's the narrow neutral grip pull down. Yeah, so I've done a lot of variations of these. You've got all the, those funky grips called mag grips. You've got, underhand. You've got, everything in between. But again, if we want to make it latty, narrowish to your body width. If you want to make it more upper backy, we go wider, and the arms start to go wider as we do that. And that can incorporate the upper back, like your traps where your delts can kind of pull your arms back and around. Let's go. Let's add our weight and go for it. Alright, capping off the work with a seated/lying incline lat prayer. So a pretty traditionally conventional, like a conventional lat prayer would be in this position where you kind of face into the cable machine, you drag down. I'm going to do it seated or on this incline, whatever you want to call that, lying or seated. And I'm going to, basically drag it over the top of me seated instead of doing it this way. So I like this variation because we can kind of get the bench, create stability so I don't cheat. We can kind of make it hard at the beginning when my arms are sort of at the stretched out position. And just fond of this one. Feels effective so far. Something that I'm doing differently today is I'm going to use this particular handle or grip. I've been using the rope. This is, I don't know what the category of this thing is called, but essentially it's just such that you can put your hands in here and not really have to hold on too tight or too much at all, so you don't have to focus on your grip. So you'll take the handles, lie down here. That's probably one of the most awkward parts, and then down into that position there. So that's that. I suppose a factor to consider is because you kind of have to get it into position like I did. The weights might not be super heavy, so it might be more moderate or light. But again, like that's not the be all and end all. If it feels effective to you and you can take the muscle close to failure, that's fine. So yeah, more like 10 to 15 rep range plus. And yeah, if you had to use a really heavy weight, or if you wanted to use a really heavy weight, maybe it's possible, but then you'd have to kind of drag it over, get into position, and yeah, that might cost a little bit of juice with heavier weight. It might be a bit awkward, uncomfortable, all that kind of stuff. So I just keep it moderate on the rep range and go close to failure, and should be all good. All right, last back exercise, let's go. Okay, curls next. So I've of recent times been doing a machine curl, but what I've found about that machine curl just kind of limits the range of motion. So what I'm going to do is a all-time favorite of mine, but with a slight twist. So like an incline bench or incline dumbbell curl where you lean back on the bench of all time might be one of my favorite exercises. Now, as time's gone on, you learn more things and you think, well, potentially that's not optimal from a couple of reasons, such as like the resistance is such that, again, until you start going up against gravity, it's not very difficult. Potentially, the stability not being there is, not ideal, quote unquote. But again, the stimulus that I feel, the perception of stimulus that I feel doing that, or having done, having done that in the past was always really high, and for whatever reason it felt effective. But yeah, you kind of think optimal, but yeah, potentially it doesn't matter. Potentially there's a reason that this one feels the most effective, so I'm going to go back to it. So the twist that I'm going to make on it is I'm back on this lat pull down, and I'm going to use this for elbow support. These are the pads you normally tuck your knees under. I could also do this on the preacher curl, and I might do a practice set at both to see what's most effective. The other thing that I am tossing up is whether to, as I do this movement, supinate or just stay supinated. So I'm going to do a couple test rounds. So it's here, leaning forward on the seat, so we get that big stretch, curl into that position there. Or alternatively, the supinating version. That might be a bit clunky, so we might be just here. All-time classic with the elbow support now, or the stability of the bench, and happy days, we go to town. I've got my old records on my program, so I know what weights I've lifted before, so I can potentially go back to something in that ballpark. All right, might go one dumbbell heavier than this, and then get it going. All right, capping things off with our rear delt fly. Phew. Haven't always loved rear delt exercises. Don't know why. But you know what? Everyone loves big rear delts, so you got to do them. So all the pulling movements we do use the rear delt, so maybe the extra work is unwarranted. But again, I'm someone who's trying to tick all the boxes. So, you know, if there is something little, I'll do it. If it makes a small difference, I'll do it. If you learn over time that it makes no difference, obviously I won't do it, but I'm at least inclined to do it if I think it makes even a small difference, because a small difference over a long period of time is a difference. So rear delt fly. These, in my opinion, can come from anywhere horizontal, so directly at shoulder height and up and sort of coming down. So if we think about the deltoid, or the rear delt specifically, it attaches to the deltoid tuberosity and then into your scapula. So taking it up is probably not the best sort of position for it to work through, although it will help. So if you think about that, kind of going into that position, it would definitely be a contributor, but I think more suited for the rear delt is horizontal, above, and these kind of actions. So my ones today is directly or slightly above horizontal. What I'll do is I'll grab the opposite hand to this. There's no thing on here, no handle, no nothing. And I'll do the same on the other side. And then essentially the height that we've set this at, we're just going to go in line with that, such that we are working directly against the resistance. So if I wanted to make this, you know, all rear delt, I might kind of cap the range of motion, something like that, but I don't mind that. There's a little bit of scapular movement, and then we'll get some upper back as well. I'm not mad at that. So, all right, we're almost there. 2 sets only here, all in a lighter rep range, about 10 to 20 reps. Let's get it. All right, that's a wrap on the workout, guys. Nice big back workout. Whew. Nah, it's pretty good. All good there. Yeah, it's pretty tough at the moment. Progress is, I know I said every session, progress is tough. It's kind of hard to keep grinding it out when you think, oh, like I'm just not going to get any better, but that is quite important in this phase to kind of hold on to that performance as best you can. Don't just submit to the fact that I'm going to get worse or anything like that, which some people do. And I imagine there's a lot of individual difference. Like some people will say, you know, they'll maintain all their strength as they get lean, or, you know, get really lean and all that kind of stuff. And I think also some people lose some of that strength towards some final stages of getting quite lean. And I think there's a bit of inter-individual variability there that you can't really compare yourself. Like people go, oh, am I just going to lose all my gains and all my strength and stuff like that? It's like, well, you won't really know until you play the game yourself and kind of see. So maybe small amounts of strength loss is common for some people, maybe none is common for others, maybe, you know, small amounts of strength increase, but you got to play the game yourself and see where you kind of fit on that spectrum. All right, let's go hit a meal. As always, hit the little subscribe up here if you're liking the content. Be very, very much appreciated. Hit this video over here if you want to see more. Click on the shorts if you want to see little exercise tips and vids. And as always, it's about progress over perfection. Coach Dan, signing off.